Hello, hello. Good evening to everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. I can see people already coming in. Thank you for attending. Now, as we wait for other people to join online, we're going to give it about 5 minutes, so an additional 5 minutes from now. And I'd like to kick off by maybe if everyone in the chat, if you could just write to us, where are you watching us from? Are you watching from Zanzibar? Are you watching from Germany? We are curious to know where our viewers coming in from. So for those that have just joined in right now, we're going to start in the next few minutes. But until we kick off, may we please hear from you. Where are you watching us from? Okay, Kevin, thank you for that. Kevin has informed me that the chat function was slightly disabled. Can you please try now? I see Yvonne there says she is watching us live from Atlanta. Great, glad to have you on the call, Yvonne. Josephine from Nairobi, Fatma from Canada, lovely. Kevin, welcome, glad to have you on the call. Nemo from Maryland, awesome. So let's give it another 2 minutes so that our friends from all over the world can join us, and then we'll kick off this lovely webinar. Merceline from Fumba, fantastic. Klaus from Kampala, love it. I see a few extra people online. Upendo, where are you watching us from? Hopefully we'll get to hear from Upendo. And we're going to give it 1 more minute. And then I would love to kick off our webinar this evening. Hey, and we've got 1 more person from Canada, Mohammed. Pleased to have you on our webinar this evening. I'm wondering what time it is over there. It's probably mid-morning, midday. So thank you for making the time to join us. Oh, 11 a.m. Fantastic. Rwanda, our neighbors in East Africa. Welcome on the call, Leroy. It is now 6 minutes past 6 p.m. here in East Africa. With that being said, I'd like to kick off our webinar. Lisa, glad to have you on our call as well. So very warm welcome to everyone this evening joining us from various parts of the world. My name is Joel Yeru, and I'll be your guide throughout this conversation about Fumba Town, about CPS. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce the people who are joining me this evening on this webinar. We have, of course, Tobias Dietzold, one of the 3 main partners here at CPS Africa. Tobias, if you could give a quick wave. I know your name is down there, but a quick wave to our viewers. Thank you very much. Next, I would like to introduce Madam Catherine Decker, who is the Managing Director for Permaculture Design Company, that is PDC. Catherine, welcome. Quick wave to the team. Lovely. And I would like to also introduce Clara Weller, advocate and notary public with Kando Wakili Attorneys. Welcome very much, Clara. And I bet you are seeing three additional gentlemen who are not necessarily on the flyer that was up a few moments ago. And they are a beautiful last minute addition to this webinar, and I'd like to introduce them. First off, Tony Roma Lee, who is the managing partner for Valour Hospitality. Quick wave, Tony. Fantastic. Next, I would like to introduce Mark Jackins, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, who is the head of advisory at Valour. Great, nice to have you as well on the call, Mark. And last but not least, Justin Aronhold, who is the Valour representative on ground for Fumba Town. Quick wave, Justin, fantastic. And Tobias will let us know a little bit more about what and who Valour are, and they'll also introduce themselves. But now that we have gotten to know who the panelists are, I'd like to let you know of a few additional things. This webinar is actually recorded. So for those who might have to unfortunately jump off the call, maybe due to work or other reasons, don't worry, we'll put this up on YouTube and you can watch this later. Additionally, we'll be running 2 polls throughout the webinar, so stay tuned. Would like your input on that. And towards the end of this conversation, we'll have a question and answer session. So please hold on to your questions. We will allow an opportunity for you to ask them, and they will be addressed by the people that are live on this call. Now, with that being said, I'd like us to kick off this conversation. Mr. Tobias, as one of the 3 main partners behind the visionary project of Fumba Town here in Zanzibar, I'd like to hear from you. What does Fumba mean to you? And can you give us just a general overview of what the project is and a little bit the vision behind it?
Yes, Joel, thank you very much, and good evening to everybody from around the globe who is joining us this evening or morning in Canada. Thank you for making the time. Just a small addition before I answer your question, Joel. For the questions, please post them in the Q&A session. There's a small button which you'll find on your Zoom app, and then we'll collect them and try to answer as many as possible of those in the end of the session. Yes, so I will want to give a quick introduction to Fumba Town. What is the project all about? What do we envision here? I'm going to share my screen for this, and I hope that you can all see my screen by now. Joel, can you see my screen? Okay, great. Yes, so my name is Tobias Dietzold. I'm one of the partners at CPS. We're the developer behind Fumba Town, this beautiful project here in Zanzibar. But before I explain more about what Fumba is, I would like to give you a little bit more background on what is actually happening at the moment in many African cities and in the continent. So urbanization is at the moment occurring faster and on a much larger scale in Africa than it was anywhere else in human history. According to 1 million projection for the end of the century, Africa will have the 3 largest cities in the world: Lagos in Nigeria, Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, and Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of Congo. By 2100, each will be home to more than 60 million people. At the moment, the biggest cities in the world are all concentrated in Asia. But by 2100, all the largest cities in the world will be in Africa. If we look at Tanzania alone, Tanzania has seen a growth of nearly 17 million in only the past 10 years. a very, very strong population growth. In Zanzibar alone, we jumped between 2012 and 2022 from 1.3 million to 1.9 million inhabitants. That means 600,000 people more in 10 years. If we would assume, which is actually the average in Tanzania, an average household size of 6 people per household, that would mean for Zanzibar alone that we would need 10,000 new homes every year. That being said, our mission at CPS is to create homes and communities that are strong, safe, sustainable, and accessible to all. This is what we're doing here in Fumba Town. This is why we are here, to cater for this massive population growth, to create housing solutions for the people here and for people obviously from around the world. So our aspiration of successful real estate projects are adding value for people so we can build an environment worth living. So the design of the Fumba city concept as a supporting town for Zanzibar town caters for this fast-growing population and the fast-growing economy of Zanzibar. Fumba is master planned as with an inclusive concept that offers convenient, safe, sustainable housing solutions for Tanzanians and people around the globe. This is our current master plan, which you see here. We are developing this town on 600,000 square meters, which equals to 60 hectares on a beautiful 1.5 kilometer seafront stretch. We're developing in total approximately 5,000 residential units, of which more than 1,800 units are within the first phase. And all this, obviously, not only residential units, but recreational areas, commercial areas, educational areas. So we have the first university coming in this year, the African School of Economics, starting and building their first campus within Fumba Town this year. So many exciting things happening also around these residential development, which is happening here right now in Fumba. This is how it looked like when we started. In 2015, we had 2 nice little show houses here. We started sales. Nobody actually believed that what we are envisioning for Fumba would be true one day. Many said this is crazy what these Germans are doing here in Zanzibar. But many also believed and joined this vision with us and made it possible to reach the stage where we are now. And this year, this is how it actually looks like. Yeah, we have already handed over approximately 700 residential units. Another 600 are under construction. We have more than 1,000 residents already living in town. We've created more than 500 permanent jobs, plus many indirect jobs, which are related to the service industry around. And we have invested here already more than $90 million US. Fumba Town in Zanzibar has truly made history already. This is a picture where you see where our former president Shane is handing over for the first time in Zanzibar history a title deed to a foreign national here, a couple from the UK who received their house in 2018. So Zanzibar has really opened up their doors. They're welcoming the world to Zanzibar. The government of Zanzibar and also the people of Zanzibar are extremely welcoming people and generating an environment which is very investor friendly. So they are issuing here in Fumba Town 99-year lease title deeds for foreigners. They have recently added another buyer incentive package, which we'll talk about also later with Clara. So issuing residency. So this project has really full support from the government and the entire people of Zanzibar, and we're very happy and proud and honored that we are allowed to do such a project here, such a visionary project, and that hopefully also you in the audience will be part of this one day. The life in Fumba has started. We have, as I said, we have many residents here already. We have monthly community markets with fresh produce, local delicacies which you can try here, beautiful crafts from local vendors. We have shopping facilities already on site with the commercial center, supermarkets, and other shops. We have a food court. We have a beautiful beach bar, which just has now added also a communal pool for all the residents. We have an international standard health facility here on the ground. We have wonderful parks and playgrounds for the kids where they can play safely and in a healthy environment. We have a gym now opening next month, and different event spaces. So there's many things already here making this life really exceptional here in Zanzibar. And the experience to live here is really beautiful, because we have a community living here with people from over 60 nations in the world. So it's a very diverse melting pot for cultures, and a very exciting life. If you walk through the streets here in the evening, meeting people, you always have a very interesting conversations. So I actually plan to have a much longer presentation this evening and to tell you much more. You see, I can talk a lot about this topic, but we have our surprise guests here this evening, and I am very excited that the colleagues from Valour Hospitality are joining us today. CPS has onboarded Valour not only as the management company for the Hilton, which you might have heard of, is coming to the Burj, a very visionary project, the tallest timber tower in the world to be built here in Fumba, with a canopy by Hilton inside of it, plus a lot of residency. So Valour will be taking over the management of the Hilton, but they will also be supporting us with the general property and facility management in Fumba for also all other properties. And I'm very happy that you agreed to join on a very short notice this webinar this evening, because I think it's a great news for our clients, for our prospective clients, to have you on board, because this is going to bring really the experience for residents and for homeowners to a complete different level, and to a hospitality level. So I'm not going to take more time explaining about what Fumba is. I rather want to hand over or hand back to you, Joel, to ask our surprise guests some questions to explain what they are envisioning and what they are planning for Fumba Town. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Tobias. That was a nice summary of Fumba Town, and I completely agree with what you have said. And with that being said, once again, welcome to the Valour team, and I'm also happy that they are coming aboard to support CPS and Fumba Town on all these aspects of hospitality. And with that being said, Tony, my first question is to you. Could you please just briefly introduce Valour Hospitality to us and to the audience? What is it that you do?
Sure. Good evening, Joel and everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and to introduce ourselves. So I'll kick off as one of the managing partners of Valour, just to give a brief overview of ourselves. So I think the name gives it away in both parts. Valour meaning courage, bravery, and transparency. Hospitality is the industry we're in, and very much we're all very passionate about it. We have offices in South Africa, so Cape Town and Johannesburg, which is now a direct flight away from Zanzibar. And we have in Dubai, we have properties across the Middle East. We have 7 properties there. We have 12 projects in sub-Saharan Africa. And then the mothership, if you like, is in the US and the UK, where we have just under 80 projects between the two countries. Pretty much all of our projects are managing hotels of either the brands under franchise, like the Hilton, the Canopy by Hilton, which will be opening here in a couple of years' time. And we also operate independent hotels, so some luxury hotels, mainly in South Africa, but also in the UK. And we have, Mark will introduce himself, but we have an advisory division as well, which helps clients with create brands and their strategies going forward. So our mantra is very much centered around our people. We employ approximately 3,000 people around the world. And so culture is very important to us, and we love that about CPS as well. And the people, the melting pot of Zanzibar, so we're delighted to be involved here. But that needs to be wrapped in commerciality. So we call, we're a commercial entity, and we're here to drive returns for our investors, whoever they may be, whether that's owners or residents, owners like yourselves. That's what we're here to do. We very much, as I said, hospitality driven. So the mindset across everything we do at Fumba will be with a hospitality lens. So we know that there are, as Tobias explained, there are some wonderful facilities here. We aim to enhance them and to give them a real hospitality once over, if you like. So thank you very much, and I hope to meet some of you. I see you, someone's in Atlanta, so you can pop into our office there. Thanks very much indeed, John.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that brief, Tony. And I'm glad to hear that you have everyone who is your people driven. So we're also, as you said, we're also very people driven, and I'm glad that we have you on board. And secondly, I was pronouncing it wrong this whole time. It's Valour. I've been saying Valour. So thank you for the correction. Now I know how to pronounce it correctly. And now let's move on next to Mark as the head of advisory at Valour. And I know you've been working closely in the past few months to develop management concepts for different aspects of Fumba. Could you share with us your impression of Fumba and what value Valour will bring to the town in general, but also to our current homeowners, future homeowners, and residents alike?
Thank you very much, and good evening or good day, everyone from all over the world. As Tony mentioned, our mandate going forward, especially for homeowners, is to enhance those guest experiences, those guest journeys, all the way from arrival at the airport to their wonderful stay in Zanzibar. So in a nutshell, what we have been working on over the last few months is preparing a world-class rental scheme for the prospective or existing homeowner that are coming into Fumba and to the sister property out in Paje. And the rental scheme will consist of an ability for homeowners to earn decent returns on their properties should they not be using it. We have quite a sophisticated technology interface with channel management being able to embrace all the channels such as Booking.com, Airbnb, Expedia, etc., that tenants would typically look for beautiful accommodation from all over the world. In addition to that, homeowners will also be provided with a user-friendly guest app, which they will then be able to track real-time what rentals are coming into their respective properties, what services and benefits we are adding on, and any news for that matter that their individual residential units require feedback on, or any other issue for that. And Justin will actually cover a little bit of that, those services in a little bit of detail in his side. In addition to that, we are working very hard with the developers on an amazing, fully inclusive furniture fitting and equipment and operating equipment fit out for that are open to homeowners should they want to take advantage of that, and just to ensure that our brand standards are maintained and built for reputation and possibly even enhance future resale value once homeowners come into the operation. I think lastly, I'd just like to also mention that the rental scheme and residents will be exposed to a very magnificent range of benefits and services. So Tobias mentioned the market, for example. We'll be offering shuttle services to Stone Town and to other neighboring tourism attractions. We will also be offering babysitting services. We will also be offering catering services in apartments, etc., which are pretty amazing in terms of all the benefits and services. So we want to build this oasis into a world-class branded residence development that everyone can be extremely proud of. So looking forward to the journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Mark. And I am going to do my best to really contain my excitement, because some of the things you have mentioned there are very, very interesting to hear. Shuttle services, catering services, babysitting services. I'm sure for a lot of new families or young families, that is essential for them to hear when the parents are busy or they want to go out and have date nights. So that's just fantastic to hear. My last question goes to Justin. You will be the man on ground to lead this project for Valour. You have vast experience in the hospitality sector and also been in charge of similar projects like Fumba in the Seychelles before. So what excites you about this new challenge in Fumba Town, and what's your vision for the experience Valour wants to bring to the residents?
Thanks very much, Joel, and thanks to the team and the colleagues that we have on the call, and it's a pleasure to be chatting to everybody from around the world. So thanks to you all for making that time. Yeah, for us, from a Valour's perspective, it's incredibly exciting to be involved with this project. As Tony has said, you know, Zanzibar has such a rich culture and such a rich heritage and history. My background is throughout Southern Africa, East Africa, operated out of Europe as well. But a lot of time I spent in the Indian Ocean Islands, 7 years in total, running a private island in the Seychelles, and then getting very involved in a big real estate development in that environment. So I'm very much in the realm of understanding the needs of homeowners and how we take and participate on a journey with them into a guest experience, and how we set up these short and long-term rental opportunities, you know, where we can further drive and enhance the actual standard of the property and the fixtures and the fittings and all of the operations, but also about how we provide these hospitality services. So we're coming in from a number of different angles, and really what we want to do is wrap this whole experience and drive hospitality throughout. As Tony and Mark had mentioned, there's a number of, you know, food and beverage experiences that we have within Fumba Town that we're further going to develop. And for us, it's about taking those existing offers and really lifting the levels and creating a broader experience, and also getting community involvement in that. We had mentioned earlier, you know, that there's a lot of community involvement, and it's about how do we enhance that community experience as well. So our vision really is to create a world-class destination, which is going to really benefit not just the homeowners, but every other person who has a touch point with the time at Fumba and the experience that they will have at Fumba. Very excited indeed. I visited Zanzibar many years ago, 30 years ago. So it's been a while since I've been back, and so incredibly excited to be representing Valour on the ground and working with a great team from CPS. So thanks very much, Joel.
Thank you as well, Justin. And yeah, I would like to echo, I'm also super excited to be working with you guys, to hear from you guys, all these exciting and beautiful initiatives that you guys are putting forward. Now, going back and looking back at the presentation that Tobias had, there was a lot of lush green that I had seen, a lot of greenery around Fumba Town with all the development that we've had so far. Now, with that being said, Catherine, can you maybe speak to that and explain to our audience what does permaculture mean, and how are you guys really involved with making Fumba Town even greener?
All right, thank you very much, Joel. So basically, permaculture is a holistic systems design of how we manage our ecosystems and our land as well. It is majorly guided by 12 principles and 3 major ethics, which are earth care, people care, and fair share, and are very much the basis as to how our foundations are built in Fumba Town. You know, earth care, how we handle our environment, how green we are. People care, the community aspect of everything. Fair share, you know, the market, people being able to go into the landscape and pick out things. Essentially, it aims to create a settlement design that emulates a natural, flourishing ecosystem. And it goes beyond just how you design your landscape, but looking at how do you conserve energy? What do you do with your waste? What are you doing for your people and your community? So it is very much a way of living that, you know, we have also come to adopt in Fumba Town. It goes beyond just the lush greens that we do. Of course, that is a very big aspect of it, but it is a way of life, I would say.
That is quite true. I agree with you, because even walking around, there's a lot of fruit trees available. You can pluck stuff out. I've been invited by some of my neighbors who have gardens. They'll be like, hey, here's some limes, here's some chilies. And the whole aspect of the community market once a month, I think that is also beautiful in terms of bringing people together.
Yes,
And
I mean, the aim is to create a sustainable, self-sufficient ecosystem, right? Being able to go out into the garden and pick some fruit, be able to pick some vegetable. That's what it's all about, you know? So.
yes, fantastic. Thank you for that input. Tobias, back to you though. Zanzibar is a rather young investment destination compared to others in the world. Why do you think it is so attractive to so many investors who have already invested with us and for potential future investors?
You know, I think first of all, I think Zanzibar is actually the word Zanzibar is known to many people around the world, even if many don't even exactly can pinpoint where it is. Does it actually belong to Africa? To which country does it belong to? It's a separate country, but the word Zanzibar has already, it's like a very mystery and tropical brand feel to it, and I think that is something which many people get attracted to. It is a stunning island in the tropics. I mean, we have fantastic white beaches. We are one of the top kite surfing destinations in the world. It's a melting pot of cultures here. The people are extremely welcoming, extremely peaceful and friendly. That makes this country and this island so special, I believe. It's also got a very strategic location right in front of the African continent. Also, before it was a trading hub for whole Africa, right, to the Asian part and to the Middle East part. And so the entire African continent is in front of you, Tanzania, Kenya, with the beautiful wildlife and the beautiful landscapes, and also its beautiful people, but also all the landlocked countries are directly in front of you. Zanzibar is extremely well connected. Flight-wise, we have, I don't know how many direct flights from around the world, from Europe, from South Africa, from Kenya, from not yet from the US, but through Kenya, you can fly very quickly to the US as well. So extremely well connected. We have much more direct flights, international direct flights, than even Dar es Salaam at the moment. But it's yeah, as you said, it's a quite young investment destination compared maybe to Mauritius or Seychelles, which we're often compared to. But that also holds a lot of opportunities, right? The real estate market is still pretty young. We have been kind of like with CPS pioneers on the real estate market here, but that means that your gains, the possibility for appreciation of capital and returns on your investment are massive. Well, most of our properties have had appreciation of capital of approximately 20% per year in the past years, plus your return on rental yield. So that makes it very attractive. And the policies really in the country have changed in the past. It's becoming more and more investor friendly. Zanzibar is really seeking international investment, welcoming international investment, is doing everything to make it more convenient and more attractive for international investors to come in. So all that combined, I think that is why Zanzibar is such a fantastic and attractive investment destination at the moment. Yes.
Thanks for that input. And I would also like to tell a personal journey or a personal story, because I used to work in Dar es Salaam, and I was then asked to come here for 1 month to work from Zanzibar. And after a week of being in Zanzibar, our CEO came and asked me, "Hey, Joel, so when are you coming back to Dar es Salaam?" So I initially should have said in 3 weeks' time, but after being here for a week, I already fallen in love with the island, fallen in love with Fumba Town. I told them, "I'm sorry, but this is it for me. I have fallen in love." So there's something that Zanzibar does to people. And I urge everyone who's watching, if you haven't been here, just take a trip and see it for yourself. Now, before we continue, before I ask the next question to our lovely lady Clara, I'm going to throw out a poll to the audience. So in a few seconds, you should see a poll on your screen. It's going to ask you, are you thinking of or planning to live one day in Zanzibar yourself? So do you have such plans already? Based off of this conversation, what are you thinking? Okay, I have a number of people at 25% participation, 31%, 34%. Okay, I'd love to get all your votes in. Okay, fantastic.
Well, just let it run and carry on, and then we'll do it.
No problem.
Answers, the results later.
All right, I'll give the results once they hit 100. So, Clara, on the topic of Zanzibar being attractive to investors, on behalf of potential investors on this call that would like to know, how are they protected as an investor? Could you speak to that?
Yes, certainly, Joel. First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity, and many greetings to everyone. I know there's when you are going through the name of the participant, we had people participate from all over the world. So I wouldn't want to say good evening because some of them is morning. So many greetings. Now going directly to your question, I would like to start off with the primary law of the country, which is the Constitution. The Constitution of Tanzania, or Zanzibar rather, it does recognize the freedom of economic activity, provided that whatever is being done in terms of investment or business-related matters, it have to be done in compliance to the law. That's being the primary law of the country. Now, looking on the second level, Tanzania as a country has signed a number of business treaties with several countries with the sole intention of protecting foreign investors who are investing within the country, Tanzania and Zanzibar. Now, being specific for Fumba and buyers of real estate properties, they are being issued with a certificate of title, which basically is a contract between the individual person who owns that property and the government, whereby that individual person will be granted an exclusive long-term right over that specific property. If it's an apartment, if it's a townhouse, so the government will basically recognize a certain person as a sole and exclusive owner of that piece of property. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Clara. And we still have a few people who haven't answered our poll, but I will let it run for a bit longer and then we'll give out the results. Now, my follow-up question onto what you've just said, in terms of additional protection or just for security as a real estate investor or buyer, what sort of documentations will I receive, and how exactly would I be protected in terms of my property?
Yeah, being specific in terms of what type of the title, as per your question, I believe your question is more on the what document will recognize me as the sole owner of that property. The land law, as it stands today, in Zanzibar, it does offer number of basically 3 forms of ownership. There's a right of occupancy, which of course this is dedicated only for Zanzibari, and also there's a lease whereby a non-Zanzibari, meaning even people from mainland, they're being issued the lease, and the lease is in the form of long-term holding of the property, which basically the land ministry, depending on the type of the project and the management authority, if it's a land ministry or if it's a investment authority, they do issue a long-term hold over the property in terms of a certificate of ownership.
Okay. Thank you for
adding to that,
yes,
George, sorry. So in the case of Fumba Town, this is a 99-year lease, right, Clara? For
yes.
Other condominium projects outside of Fumba Town, this is typically a 33-year lease, which is extendable twice to 99-year lease to 99 years. But if you buy in Fumba Town, you get directly a 99-year lease issued by the Zanzibar Investment Promotion Authority, because the Investment Promotion Authority is mandated to govern the land in Fumba, which is a pre-economic zone, declared, I think, in 1992 by the government as a pre-economic zone, and ZIPA, as the investment authority, has full mandate over this land. So even when you're buying here, you will be issued not a title by the Ministry of Land, but rather by ZIPA directly.
Yeah.
Thank you for that addition, Tobias. That is truly appreciated as an additional breakdown to our potential and future investors. And now, with that being said, because we're talking about properties, unit types, and how they can be protected and what titles that go into that, I would like to ask everyone on this panel, specifically the team here, so Clara, Catherine, and Tobias, maybe also the Valour team, what your favorite unit is so far. If you could just quickly share which unit type and why you like it. So we'll start off with the ladies. Maybe Catherine, you could kick off.
Oh, I think that's a very easy one, the Vizazis.
Okay, why the Vizazis?
Very beautiful, very functional, very thought out unit. You know, the space is just right. It's built with sustainable technology. It really speaks to what Fumba is and who CPS are as developers. So guarantee Vizazi is my favorite for sure.
Okay, Vizazi is yours. What about you, Clara?
For me, I'll still go with the seafront. I like the space, the design, and the view in the morning. It's breathtaking.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You're closer to the ocean. You get to see it every morning, and also the sunsets from there are spectacular. Tobias, what about you? What's your favorite unit?
It's mean if you say ladies first, right? They you can't say the same thing. No, but obviously all our properties are beautiful. It's very mean to choose one favorite. They are all extremely beautiful, and for different price budgets, obviously. One of my favorites is actually the Moyonis. I must say they're in the mid-price range. They are built with timber technology, cutting edge timber technology, which is storing carbon in the building. Actually with a negative carbon footprint, beautifully designed, very flexible. The floor plan, and not too big, not too small. A very good unit for roughly $140,000. And the area in which they're built is going to be beautiful. I mean, the parks which are going to be created around that, they will come with an own small pool for the residents in the Moyoni area only. So these are really one of my favorite units, but as said, all of them are beautiful.
Yeah, that is true. They all are actually very beautiful, with all coming unique feelings to it. I was also gonna select Moyoni as my favorite. And for the Valour team who have just recently been in Fumba, is there any unit that speaks to you?
Sorry, just getting off mute. Yeah, I was doing a site walk yesterday with Sebastian, and he was telling me about a penthouse that they're going to put on the top of the largest building here.
Yes.
That one's got my name on it.
Fantastic. The Mungani Skyloft. Yes. And they're also built with timber technology, so very sustainable and also very good for just general well-being because you're still living within nature because of the timber element. Great. Thanks for that. So for all the ones, everyone who's watching, if you're already in contact with one of our sales agents, reach out to them, ask them for them to show you more about some of the units that we have been speaking about. And I would like to go to the next question, but before that, I'm just going to quickly share the results of the poll so far. And I'm hoping everyone can see this. So far, we have 83% of people saying yes, they're planning to one day live in Zanzibar, so that's great. To all the people who said yes, karibuni sana. Karibuni means welcome. We warmly welcome you as our future neighbors, brothers, sisters, and 13% said maybe, so we'll have to figure out how we can convince you to come down to the island. And for the ones that said no, yeah, please just let us know why. We're curious. Even by a message, you can write directly to us and would hopefully can turn that no into a maybe and then a yes one day. The next question I have, so also back to Tobias's presentation, so far we've seen with lots of different property types, different units. 700 of these units have already been built with 600 under construction. So there's hundreds, almost 1,000 of us living and commuting within the town on a daily basis. Catherine, PDC is responsible for not only the managing the greenery and of the entire town, but also managing the wastes. And there's a lot of us. So can you maybe speak onto this and how PDC is ensuring that we are clean, that we are green all the time?
All right. Thank you so much for the question, Joel. In terms of waste management, we start from the source. So at the very beginning of the line, whenever a unit is handed over to a resident already has 3 separation bins in their unit: recyclable, non-recyclable, and organic. The point of this is to encourage residents to sort their waste from a household level. The second step of this goes into our green rooms, or which are our waste collection point. We've coined them as green rooms, but I can get into this a little bit later. So each green room has the separation bins as they would in your units: recyclable, non-recyclable, and organic waste. So the sorting very much starts at a household level. After this, of course, PDC as a company, we handle the waste collections in the town, and we're collecting waste on a daily basis in Fumba, making sure the green rooms are clean, making sure, and where we can, we also do provide trainings to residents in Fumba Town, it being a company that's coming in here, it being people who are working here, it being people who are living here, to help them understand the importance of our waste management system, the importance of recycling, the importance of separating your waste, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to be as sustainable as we can. After this waste is collected, it comes to the site at the Permaculture Design Company, whereby we go and we further sort the waste. We are humans, and waste separation is not a concept that's foreign to all, but it might be to some. It might not be a way of life that we're all used to. So sometimes, it does, and also we're human beings. There's that aspect of forgetting, human nature. So sometimes a person might forget to probably put the plastic bottle in the recyclable bin, and they put it in the non-recyclable. Hence why we have that further step where we sort the waste at our office. All the organic waste goes into compost and our black soldier fly, meaning it gets a second life cycle. So we collect the organic and food waste from residents in Fumba Town. We use the same food waste to produce soils that we use in our landscapes and produce, compost, which is very, very healthy. It makes your plants grow very, very well. And then we also have a black soldier larva fly system, which we use to feed our chickens. So actually, in turn, it's reduced, what we're spending on chicken feed, and the same manure from the chickens is then also put back into our compost to give us some really healthy fertilizer. In terms of our recyclables and non-recyclables, we try and give them a second life cycle. Sometimes you have smaller vendors who are doing, upcycling with plastic items, and they will come to our site and then, they will take this from us. Sometimes you have people who are doing arts and crafts with glass. So we also do the same. Us at PDC on our own, we take a lot of the plastic bottles that are disposed, if not all of them, and we use them in our nurseries, to put seedlings, to plant plants and stuff. So, and cement bags also that are found in the construction site. So the whole intention of waste is that we understand that waste is not a very pretty concept. It's not something that people necessarily want to speak about all the time, but we're trying to make it as educational. We're trying to make it as much as a community effort, and also to realize the importance of why it is important to sort our waste, what can be done, because sometimes we think, okay, it's waste, it's trash, but actually your trash can be turned into gold and be given a second life, as we're doing with our composting, as we're doing with our black soldier larva fly systems, and also giving the plastics a second life cycle as well.
Thank you for highlighting on about that. I would like to also say that initially it was never part of my culture to always sort my trash. So it took me a few weeks to get into that habit, but once you do, it becomes a lifestyle. And these days I just seamlessly just put my plastics away, waste away, disposable waste, organic waste, plastic and glass in the right sorts and in the right bins. And it just becomes easier. But I will be honest that it did take me a little while because it was just not natural.
Right, but after some time, I mean, it's a good feeling that you get from knowing that,
Yes.
I'm separating my waste, I'm being responsible, I'm trying to be a custodian of the environment. So it's really lovely. And then what we also do is that on a month-to-month basis, we get waste reports, and we're able to collect data on how much waste we collected. Maybe in February we collected X amount of organic waste, we collected X amount of plastic bottles. And I could also just highlight just a few statistics from 2023.
Please
where
do.
we collected a total of 101,474 kilograms of waste. 80,000 kilograms of that was food waste that was converted into compost and also feed for the black soldier larva flies. We had about 4,000 kilograms of paper, 9,000 kilograms of cardboard. And I mean, because you guys are in Fumba Town, I'm sure you've seen when PDC does their implementation, we use the cardboard as part of building soils, because it disintegrates after a while and it turns into soils. So we use this in our landscapes as well. Then we've got about 3,000 kilograms of plastic bottles that were recycled last year, 2,000 kilos of cans, 10,000 kilos of glass. So it is a lot, and it is showing that, we are producing a lot of waste, but we're trying to be as responsible with it as we can.
Yes. As you said, earth care, people care, fair share.
Fair share.
Yes,
Exactly.
fantastic.
Always great to see somebody so passionate about waste.
And I think it's crucial.
Yes.
It's crucial, and that should be infectious to all of us so that we really protect our planet and save it for the future generations. And I think that's a very strong point, Catherine. Thank you for highlighting onto that. I think what I'd also like to understand on top of all these things that we've heard of, so steady construction growth, steady growing communities, proper greenery and waste management. Maybe Clara, you could highlight, so if an investor is coming in, what can they also expect to get? What are some of the incentives that the government and the project are offering?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Looking back in 2021, the government in Zanzibar really took a bold move whereby a set of incentive for property buyers, whoever will buy a property or an apartment in Fumba or in a real estate project, they do get a number of incentives. One being the resident permit, which I believe the very first one was issued this week, I believe. Tobias, you can correct me.
I think last week, yes.
Last week, okay.
Fantastic news.
Yes, the very first one after a long time. I mean, because at the end of the day, Joel, the buyers are purchasing homes, properties, so it makes sense for the government to cement and further support by issuing the resident permit by virtue of owning a property. And on top of that, there is also a list of tax incentive whereby there's a 50% discount in terms of capital gain in case the homeowner is reselling their unit. And also there is also 50% discount in terms of stamp duty, which is payable on the unit. So there's a number of benefits whereby individuals who are purchasing property in real estate in Fumba project, they do get to enjoy.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, those incentives and also the very good news. Tobias, is there anything you'd also like to add onto that before I pull out on some questions from the audience?
Yes, no, I just wanted to add, we're very excited that the residencies have been issued now. It was already longer time ago that the government here in Zanzibar had issued this package of buyer incentives, but there had to be another law changed because immigration is a union matter together with Tanzania mainland, which was changed last year, and now the first residencies for homeowners have been issued, which is fantastic news. One disclaimer though for everyone, you have to buy above a threshold of $100,000 for one property. So that is the threshold which you have to achieve, and then you have have this advantage of the residency for you, your spouse, and I think up to 4 children. So that's fantastic news. We will be issuing very shortly a manual, a guide of how to obtain these residencies with the government. It's actually pretty straightforward, but there's a few documents which you have to hand in and a few things which you have to apply for. But actually, it's a very straightforward process. So we'll make it as easy as possible for our homeowners to have a very intensive and a comprehensive guide for that in place. So that just as an addition to what Clara said, thank you very much, Clara, for outlining this very detailed about the incentives here.
Great, thanks for that addition, and glad to hear that CPS will then be putting together that document with a step-by-step guide for existing homeowners and who have reached that threshold. So that I think will make the process much more seamless for them. Now, I would like to ask a few questions that came from our audience. I think the first 2 questions, I want to direct them to you, Tobias. Are there any properties on the Tanzania mainland, and how does one become an investor?
We do not have at the moment projects in Tanzania mainland. We have at the moment 2 running projects here in Zanzibar, being the one Fumba Town, and on the East Coast in Paja, the Soul. The Soul is, although I think more or less sold out. I'm not sure if we might have 1 or 2 properties still available. We do not yet have projects in Tanzania mainland, but there are things in the pipeline. How do you become an investor is actually a pretty straightforward answer. You just buy a property with us. Then you're an investor in Fumba, in Zanzibar. So yeah.
Fantastic. Glad to hear that. And I just also to share the price ranges, because as Tobias highlighted earlier, we have different types of properties or units ranging from 69,000 all the way to almost $1 million. So it really, we have something for everyone. depending on your price range, depending on what you're looking for as well. Do you have a big family, a small family? Are you a digital nomad? Are you someone who is looking to make investment with your property? So we have a little bit for everyone out there. And now the follow-up question, I would like to direct this to Clara, and maybe Tobias, you could also add on to this. What happens after the expiry of the 99-year lease, Clara? What happens there?
That's one of the famous questions for most of the clients. And I will just respond to it based on our current practice, because look at 99 years and the way the legal framework also changes with how the country changed and globalization and all of those things. Looking at the current practice, normally a year prior to the expiration of your title, normally you are supposed to hand in application to renew. And most of the time, the renewal process is very straightforward. And there's no so much hassle. What basically the government does, they only look in terms of if there's any default, if there's any change of policy, etc. But it's quite straightforward in terms of the process. Now in 99 years, I'm sure I might not be there. I'm not sure about you, Joe.
I don't think so.
The legal framework will look like, but based on the current practice, that's how the renewal process normally occur.
All right. Thank you for that, Clara. I believe it is a very straightforward process. So thank you for highlighting and reassuring our viewers about this. We have a question from Klaus, who's asking, Tobias, could you elaborate more about the timber technology?
Yes, I love to. We could do I think we have to do a complete separate webinar on that. It's a huge topic. We have started right from the beginning using timber technology here in Fumba, and all future typologies which we're developing are actually going to be based on timber. Timber is a regrowing, sustainable building material. It's actually, we believe, with many experts and architects around the world, the building material of the future, because it is sourced from sustainably managed forestry. So we're not cutting down rainforests or anything. It is sustainably managed forests, which are grown especially for the production of timber products. And we're working mostly with engineered timbers, for example, cross-laminated timber, which replaces concrete slabs entirely. So we can build really a complete building out of timber. It has several advantages from being obviously a sustainable material, but also, it's basically a battery for carbon dioxide. So a tree, when it grows and it matures during the growth period, it absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. That stops when it matures. So actually cutting it down binds now that carbon dioxide in the tree, and then later in the house. If you would be rotten, would die or rot, then that carbon dioxide would be actually released to the atmosphere. So cutting it down at one point is actually the right thing to do. It is a fantastic heat insulator, especially in a climate like Zanzibar. Just imagine if you have a hot pot at home, what do you use to put under it when you place it on the table? Is typically a piece of wood, because 1 centimeter of wood has the same insulation properties like a 10 centimeter concrete wall. So the insulation properties are fantastic. We are pre-producing those houses in the factory, so the finishing is precise and fantastic. It's much quicker to build because it's prefabricated. I could go on and on and on. Timber is just a fantastic material, plus the living atmosphere in a timber house is just fantastic. It's just, once you've stepped your first time into a timber house, you don't want anything else. I can promise you that.
That's a very strong guarantee, and thank you for elaborating on that, Tobias. What we'll do, as I said, this webinar is recorded and it will be live on YouTube. And we have additional content on YouTube talking about timber technology. So I'll link that to this video. But as Tobias also mentioned, we will have additional webinars in the future, just specifically focusing on timber technology. So yeah, Klaus, don't worry about that. There's also another question from Klaus where he's asking, what about sewage systems? Can the panel, is that Tobias or would that now be Catherine?
Catherine, maybe you can say something about that, about a central sewage system, what the plans are, and as you're also partly involved in the infrastructure, right?
Yes. So Joel, to answer Mr. Klaus's question is that we do have a central sewer system where all our sewer goes into one area. The idea with this is that we have pump stations and this sewer is going to eventually go into a reverse osmosis water treatment plant, of which this gray water will then be put back into the town and we can use it for items like gray water for landscaping, you know, and other odd things. Like I said, turning your trash into gold, you know, something that can be used. So the same concept throughout, you know, whatever systems that we're trying to implement within Fumba Town.
Great, thank you for that. We have another question here from Fatma Nadir. She is asking, when is stamp duty paid? Is it a one-time duty or is it recurring? I'd like to address this to Clara.
Yeah, I think I will take that. Thanks, Joe. So stamp duty is applicable when you are reselling your unit. So if you wish, let's say if Joe, you wish to sell your property to Clara, there is a stamp duty. So it's a one-time duty applicable whenever the property is being sold to any owner.
Okay, all right. Thanks for that. I'm gonna address this other question here from Yvonne. She's asking, do we pay property taxes?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. There is a property tax that is payable on the property, as well as there's a land lease payment, land rent to be paid direct to the government. And the land rent, this is normally once to be paid in a year. So every year there's a fixed amount where you're supposed to be paid based on your ownership, the size, and etc. All those factors are used to calculate in terms of how much.
Okay.
Yes, these taxes are although already included in the annual fees, which are in your purchase and sales contract. So the town management collects an annual town operation fee on behalf of all the homeowners from the homeowners to operate the town, security, waste management, cleaning, maintenance of the infrastructure, and so on. And in that, the land rent is already included, which we then, because we are basically assigned by the government to collect that on behalf from the government, and then we forward that directly to the government. So I'm not sure if we really have time to answer all the questions. We might have to really answer a few on a one-on-one afterwards. We'll obviously record or copy all questions, so none of them will stay unanswered, but we are already over an hour in, and maybe, I don't know, you decide. You're the moderator. I don't want to jump in too much there.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, I think what would be wise, the additional questions we'll definitely take, and we can, through the sales team, have them answered directly to our participants online. What I'd like to do is, before we close, do one last poll. And I hope we're all ready for this poll. So I'm going to put it up on the screen now. So based off the conversation we've had this evening so far, what aspects of Fumba Town was most attractive to you? Has it been the sustainability element? Has it been the location? Has it been the social engagement of the developer so far? Is it the international community lifestyle? Is it the price or value of what you're getting? Or lastly, the house and apartments designs? Okay, at 30%, fantastic. I'm gonna let it run for.
While everybody is answering this, maybe let me not closing remarks, but I want to thank again everybody for participating this evening. Catherine, Clara, and the representatives from Valour. Very excited to have you all on board. Thank you for making the time. And I want to thank also all the participants from around the world joining us in whatever time zone you are right now. Thank you for making this possible. It's always unfortunate for a panelist in a webinar to not have direct interaction and see the people who you're talking to. That's much nicer in live events. I hope the next time we can have a live event with everyone and meet you also in person once you come to visit us here.
Thank you for those remarks, Tobias. And before I answer, or rather share the results of the poll, one of our participants, Fatma Nadir, said, actually, we should have all the choices above as one of the options. So for her, it's all of the elements: sustainability, the location, social engagement, international community, price, and also the apartment designs. So thanks for that, Fatma. I completely agree with you. And also to answer Vipul Shah, yes, this recording will be available later. We'll upload it on YouTube. And now I'm going to share the results of our poll. And there we go. Oh, it's not shared yet, but I think now you should see it. For majority, 37% say location, Zanzibar as a location. I completely agree with you guys. The rest is sustainability. Sorry, no, the next one is international community and lifestyle, followed by sustainability, and then 5% of houses and apartments design. With that being said, I don't want to take too much of our time. We've already been here for about an hour. So once again, to reiterate what Tobias has said, thank you all for joining us live this evening. For those that are on the same time zone, for those in different time zones, good morning and good afternoon. We appreciate your time. We will be uploading this later to our YouTube. And for the few questions that were left unanswered, we will take them and have them answered as well as part of the comment section on the YouTube page when this goes live. And also feel free, for those that already have direct contact with our agents, to also ask them these questions. They will be of help to you. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen of the panel, thank you all for your time. It was lovely having you guys online, interacting with you all. I wish everyone a lovely evening and rest of the day. With that, bye-bye, and I'm ending the webinar. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Bye.